Well, unfortunately for Donald Trump, he was sandbagged yet again by brutal facts coming from none other than the Fox propaganda network, as they dropped a devastating poll showing the Vice President Harris is dominating him in more swing states than not. And in response, Donald Trump was clearly triggered, and he and his campaign have lashed out in a campaign memo, which is making the rounds. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, this is something of a follow-up to a video that we did yesterday. I mentioned in a video at the time of recording yesterday that Jesse Waters on the Fox Propaganda Network was gloating to his liberal co-host Jessica Tarlov that the vice president somehow had a terrible week and she's now struggling in the polls. And then within an hour, that network, Fox, dropped a highly rated poll showing the exact opposite. And now Donald Trump and the Trump campaign have responded. But before we get into their response, I want to play you some of the clips and we can just bask in the schadenfreude together.
Lead in North Carolina, 50-49. But Vice President Harris, Kamala Harris, is leading by 1 in Arizona, 50-49, by 2 in Nevada and Georgia, 50-48 in each of those states. Lead in.
That was, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Especially Brett Baer, you know, who I really don't like. He used to be alongside Shep Smith and Chris Wallace, kind of the holy trinity of like reputable pollsters at, reputable journalists at Fox. And then Shep Smith quit, and then Chris Wallace quit. Chris Wallace has since gone to CNN, and Brett Baer is there alone, and he is being corrupted by the partisanship and authoritarianism of Fox. If you recall, he was also mentioned in the Dominion Voting Systems lawsuit as one of the people suggesting that perhaps they uncall a particular swing state that went for Biden in order to please Trump, because Trump was triggered that Fox called it in favor of the opposition. It's really disappointing, Brett. That's why I love it when you occasionally give Trump bad news, probably against your own will.
Heading now out east to North Carolina. Former President Trump is also ahead there by 1 point. We'll say that he wins the state of North Carolina. We are going to give the state of Arizona to the vice president. And then the recent polling showed President Biden 5 points behind in North Carolina, and it's very, very tight right now. So go back to the map. It brings us to 264 to 258. Again, 270 is what you need to win. And guess what remains? Georgia. Georgia remains. It was the closest contest in 2020, decided by less than a quarter of a percentage point in favor of President Biden. Our recent polling showed the widest gap, 6 points, for former President Trump over President Biden. But now that has closed. Harris has a 2-point lead in our latest poll. It's expected to be a close race. That's obviously within the margin of error, but both candidates are spending a lot of time in Georgia, and if that lead holds, she wins Georgia, she wins the presidency of the United States.
Love it. Again, I say this as somebody, we talked about this, but yeah, before we get into Trump's response, this election is going to be close. I know it's entirely possible that Donald Trump will win this. He has so many institutional advantages with respect to the media. There's a red rule conservative bias with regards to the Electoral College. Republican governors in multiple states, Texas, Georgia, led by Brian Kemp, are yet again purging voting rolls, right? Just really interesting. Right before an election, they just feel the need to do a mass purge. They've even made it easy. Mark Elias, the election attorney who spanked the Trump campaign and Trump administration in multiple election-related lawsuits pertaining to the 2020 election. Even he's talking about it, that Brian Kemp is putting up a website making it easy for other Georgians to enable the purging of somebody else's voter registration. So I can go to this website as a Georgia resident, put in some information, and potentially get somebody kicked off the roll. Really stunning stuff. They're pulling out all the stops. And yet, at the moment, the vice president's in the lead. Head-to-head, swing states, and on Georgia. Well, Donald Trump did not handle that well. And the Trump campaign's not handling it well. They're yet again lashing out at Fox News. Trump Vance 2024. We report, you decide. Fox's polling has an awful track record. Fox, again, being one of the most reputable pollsters in the country. It's that time of year again. Fox is releasing atrocious polling. A look at the polling from this same time period in 2020 shows that Fox was off in North Carolina, Arizona and Nevada from either 5.3 to 9.7 points. Fox's only Georgia poll in 2020 was released in June, and that one overstated Joe Biden's support by 1.7%. Note that they didn't mention that Biden won that one. Very careful about that, right? Even though he did, they can't acknowledge that Trump was wrong or lied about the Georgia outcome. Donald Trump continues to outperform polling from past cycles. Trump is 10 points ahead of where he was in Arizona at this point in 2020, according to Fox. Apparently that one counts, though. When it's good for Trump, Fox counts. When it's bad for Trump, Fox doesn't count. Likewise, he's running 8 points ahead of his 2020 polling in Nevada and 5 points ahead of his 2020 polling in North Carolina. We see the same trend nationwide. A look at the Rear Clear Politics average in Pennsylvania, for example, shows Trump 6 points ahead of where he was in 2020 and 9.4 points ahead of where he was in 2016. They will mention that the RCP average still has Vice President Harris up in the head-to-head. And in swing states, that doesn't matter. You just cherry pick what you have. But Donald Trump, the campaign released that, calling it atrocious, mocking Fox. We report, you decide. This is stuff that Fox, slogans that Fox says. And it's not the first time that in recent memory that Donald Trump has lashed out at Fox. Here's another clip, an oldie but a goodie during the Democratic National Convention just last week. Pretty petulant stuff from Trump.
Let me ask you this, sir. There has been a huge appeal and momentum for women voters. She's trying to pull the youth vote, the Hispanic vote, the black vote back in her direction. Polls show that she's having some success in that at this point. So what are you going to do? What's your strategy to rebuild the momentum that you had with those voters?
No, she's not having success. I'm having success. I'm doing great with the Hispanic voters. I'm doing great with black men. I'm doing great with women because women want safety. They want safety. And they don't have safety when they have somebody allowing 20 million people into our country, many of them very dangerous people. No, it's only in your eyes that they have that, Martha. We're doing very well in the polls. We're leading in most of the polls. And in
None of that was true, but that's just so funny how petulant it is. He can't accept this idea that he has not, never has been, and never shall be a particularly popular political figure. He can't accept the idea that he can ever lose in anything. My God, he just said recently in I think it was an interview with Dr. Phil, a new interview with Dr. Phil, that he won California. This is this guy's brain. So again, I say he's either really, really stupid or really, 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 really delusionally dishonest, in which case it's either one is disqualifying for the presidency of the United States. And again, it's not the first time. Mediaites collected some examples too. In recent months, Trump has repeatedly attacked Fox News for airing poll numbers, which showed him neck and neck with President Biden and then subsequently Harris. Quote, Fox News will never take great polls from reputable pollsters, he protested in July. Quote, but we'll take fake confidential Democratic polls that they leak to Fox and go up big with them. That same month, Trump ordered Fox News to, quote, stop putting on the enemy, end quote, and shared a slew of posts attacking the network, including individual hosts. Quote, why is Fox News putting on crazy Kamala Harris rallies? Why do they allow the perverts at the failed and disgraced Lincoln Project to advertise on Fox News? He wrote. Quote, even Mr. Kellyanne Conway, a man so badly hurt and humiliated by his wife, she must have done some really nasty things to him because he is crazy, is advertising on Fox News. We have to win without Fox. He's referring, of course, to George Conway, Kellyanne Conway's superhumanly patient ex-husband, who is since responsible. He's created that anti-psycho pack, pun intended, where the whole thing is just designed to troll and get under Trump's skin by calling him crazy and stupid and a loser, or wildly entertaining, and it seems to clearly be effective. But again, it just goes back to that Donald Trump loves Fox as long as they obsequiously praise him non-stop. But if they say or show anything that he can construe as an attack or a criticism, he crumbles, and so does his loyalty to them, and he lashes out, and they send out ridiculous memos like the one they provided. So I love it. Anytime Fox and Trump are at each other's throats, or just Trump at Fox's throat, is a good day. It's always great when there's a MAGA civil war, politically speaking, and we should do our part to encourage it. And in the meantime, you let me know what you think in the comments.